Right, hi guys, welcome back to the Mooney Yorkshireman and welcome back to another comparison video. So, late last year I did a version of this which was Minichamps versus Barago. I'll leave that in the corner thing if you want to watch that. And that was basically the 2022 Alfa Romeo Sauber cars, comparing the Minichamps version to the Barago version. I was genuinely impressed with how good the quality of the Barago model was, considering the difference in price point, you know, from about £80 a model for the Minichamps to about £25–30 for the Barago. So if you want to watch that one, like I say, there'll be a link in the corner of your screen or whatever to watch that. So this time around I thought I'd go for something a little bit different, which is the main competitors, I would say, in the Formula 1 market at the moment, which is Spark versus Minichamps, or the other way around even. There you go, Minichamps versus Spark. So this one is the 2022 Max Verstappen Red Bull Championship winner for that one. That's the race that he wrapped up the driver's title that year. And we have the offerings from Spark and, of course, Minichamps. I thought this one's a little bit different because this one, of course, has the World Champion board. This one has the more official Formula 1 ones, which are inside, which we'll take a look at a moment. That's obviously says P1 there for the where they pull up in the grid spot after they finish the race. And the intermediate tyres as well as something is not something we've looked at in these series before. So we're going to take a look at the models overall, see which is the best model, see which has the best tyre compound looking like, the best signage, how that one offers up when it's built up and things like that. So, as always though, we'll kick things off with the outside of things. And I quite like the Minichamps box on this one. I know the Spark ones always tend to edge it because they've always got a specific design. So on the back of here, look, Oracle Red Bull Racing, but you can't really see that. And from the front, this one's quite a bland design. I know some of the earlier ones, when Spark were taking over from designing the backmarker teams, weren't they, from like 2010? They had some really creative and colourful display boxes outside, and they just absolutely walked all over Minichamps, which was just the standard checkered flag display that you see on the majority. But for some reason, for Red Bull Racing, they have their own design. And I think it looks quite nice. The pale blue certainly looks nice. And they've got the bull in the corner there. And, of course, the Oracle Red Bull Racing logo there too. So I personally don't mind this Minichamps one over this Spark one. The Spark, I always find that the grey bases date it a little bit. I think if it had been on a black base, they do tend to look a little bit better on the black bases. But that's just a personal preference of mine. So yeah, as much as I do like the Spark outer cases, I think this time around, just on the outside look, I mean, that's what you're going to see from the model when it's on display. I would say that the Minichamps one just offers that little bit more. But yeah, I mean, overall, the model itself from the outside looks quite nice. It's got more detail on there. Of course, as well, with the Minichamps, it's easier to read what the car is and from what race, whereas this, it's down at the bottom there. Red Bull, Oracle, Japanese winner, and then on the other side it says Formula 1 and then Max Verstappen, and there, look. So, like I said, we'll take a little bit more detail in a second. I'm going to get them out of the cases and have a look. But yeah, from the overall appearance, just looking at it from here, I think that just looks a little bit smarter. The fact that the board's already built up and the presentation of that one just seems to edge it a little bit for me. So we're going to take them out of the cases now, and then we'll show you what they're like out the sleeve. So before we go fully unboxing, once I've removed the model from its case for the Spark, it's actually got that on the back that says Drivers World Champion 2022, which is quite nice, but not something I'd noticed just casually looking over the model while it was in the wrapping. So yeah, a nice little touch there, but I missed it. Let me know if you saw it in the comments below before I actually spotted it taking out the sleeve. But yeah, that's a nice little addition. And then just on the Spark one as well, it's now out of its presentation case. Of course, it's taped down underneath. And it's also taped those little sides down as well in there, so they were never going to float around or anything, which is a quite nice detail. So even in transit, they were never going to float around and get misplaced or lost or damaged because they were taped in. That's quite a nice little bonus. So let's get them out of the case, and we'll offer them side by side. Right then, so let's take a look at the models side by side. These were quite nice actually. So it has got the same board, but just slightly different in sizing. And also the colour blue is slightly different for the Dutch flag. So that's an interesting one, isn't it? Who's the right one? Is it the darker blue or the lighter blue for those? Spark or Minichamps, let me know in the comments. I think it's the lighter blue, isn't it? But nonetheless, these are quite nice actually. So they're made out of, I don't know if you can hear it tapping, little thin bit of metal, and they just simply bend. So you just bend the base, and they come up quite nicely. I think it's a nice little addition, is that. That one's a little bit more secure. This one seemed to fall over a little bit because it's not got much in the way of support, but it does hold up. This one, I've tried to take it off and it is stuck on. It is stuck onto the base. I can't lift it off. There's no screwing underneath for it, so that is just as it is, which is a little bit of a shame. I've tried to give it a decent pull, but I don't want to, of course, rip the base of this, the cardboard base. So, as much as it looks nice like that, there's no versatility here with that sign at all compared to this. This you can move it around where you like, and you can bend it back and put it back in its packaging or whatever. So, the Spark, in case of the, in terms of the design of these, this one wins the way because it's got more places to be put. You can put them wherever you like. You don't have to put them up. That one, it's just fixed there. Although I do personally quite like it there. If you want to take this car off of the display, then you've got to take that off. And I don't know how much pulling it would take to take that off without ripping the box. So, yeah, I'm not going to find out in this video because this is mine from my collection. So I'm not going to give that a good pull and then ruin it. So yeah, there you go anyway. But let's take a look at the models in question then. So we'll shift those out of the way. But they are very nice. I do quite like them. So, the Spark model. I'm not expecting much difference between the two of them, to be honest. But we will see. I'm sure there's going to be some differences here and there. Of course, they're both representing the same race, or supposed to be. So see if we can find any differences in terms of logos, liveries. Is the different shades, is things in different places? We'll have a look and see. But for now, they're looking fairly accurate. This is one thing I've noticed on models that is really annoying me. So the buy bit on the front there, of the front wing, on this left-hand side, it doesn't matter what manufacturer does it, but this on the left-hand side, they never seem to get the T in the right place, and it's always lower than it should be. I've noticed the Barago models do it, so I will bring that as a feature at some point. But that, again, even on a Spark model, which you pay a lot more money for, that T isn't in the right place. It should be in the same place as the B. So it's like the whole logo doesn't get put on correctly. On this side, it's absolutely fine, look. That's fine. But there, it isn't. And that really annoys me. So let's have a look at the Minichamps one, see if it does it. Yeah, again, it is a little bit lower. It just doesn't fit right on the front nose at all, does it? Which is quite infuriating. While we're talking of noses, there does appear to be quite a big difference between the two. On the noses, the red is much more prevalent on the Red Bull than it is on that. That's a lot of a darker shade of red. So the colours are completely different already. I think even the camera picks up on that. And also the Red Bull on the... See, that's annoying. I've only just noticed this as well, but that Red Bull does not... That's not on right. Because you don't get the curly bit of the D at the bottom. It's just flat. Like it's not been put on square. So that's annoying, just a notice there. I mean, in terms of everything else design-wise, it all looks quite similar. Yeah, I would say there's more, maybe a little bit more detail on Spark there with the aerials. If we can focus in on that, you can see the aerials there on the side there. Just look a little bit more delicate, a little bit more detailed. Whereas on the Minichamps, you just get one big one there. That's just like, yeah, here I am, just above the number 1 look. This one, you've got 2 little detailed ones at the side of each other, still above the number 1, but just not as in your face. Here it is. It's a lot more detailed, just a little bit more refined, I would say. It's probably the right word for it. I mean, down the side of the model, again, it all looks very similar. Like I say, I'm not expecting massive amounts of differences between the Minichamps and the Spark model, because why would you? You know, you're paying a decent amount of money for the pair of these. I think the Spark model's around 65 to 70 now. As mentioned, the Minichamps models are around 80. These are a couple of years old now, these models, so I'm sure you'll be able to pick them up for cheaper. But yeah, you know, just offering them on what they were at the retail price when they came out. Yeah, I mean, the floor looks quite nice. The rear wing doesn't appear to be much difference between the two of them. So yeah, so that's the Spark one overview anyway. I would say that's a fair assessment. We'll come and have a look at... So we're going to compare that now to the Minichamps properly, and we'll just see if there's anything that overtly sticks out. Again, as mentioned, we already spotted the detailing of the aerial doesn't look as good on the Minichamps. Looks a bit more stuck on rather than actually presented accurately. But I mean, the rest of it looks quite okay. I would say the rear floor doesn't look as nice on the Minichamps. Let's try and find a way that I can show you that. Just looks a little bit cheaper, like rougher, if that makes sense. It's difficult because this is in the way and I don't want to pull it off, but they both look detailed, but this just doesn't quite look as finished off, and I'm struggling just to get it with the light. But there, look, about there. It looks nice, don't get me wrong, but when you're free up side by side to that one, that just looks a little bit more defined. It looks a little bit better, I would say. The rest of the livery though, I can't see. I mean, obviously it's difficult to tell between a camera, but with my eyes, I don't think there's much difference in terms of the actual like colours or liveries. We noticed what the front wing was different. The Red Bull was a lot more brighter on the nose than it was on the Minichamps. But the rest of the models themselves actually look really accurate. I can't tell them apart in that respect. The helmets look really good as well. Yeah, it's difficult to show you the helmets, but they do look really good. There's not really much in the way of differences between these two, actually. Let's take a look at the tyre compound, see how the intermediates offer up on each one. Is there anything profoundly different there? So the intermediate tyres on the Spark look quite decent. They look a bit more toy-y, if that makes sense. A difficult word to describe it, I know, but yeah, there's just something about them that just doesn't seem quite right. Let's have a look at the Minichamps one. They look better. The Minichamps one, to me, look better. I don't know why. Could just be personal preference, but they just seem to look more accurate to the real thing. I mean, I've never seen a real intermediate Formula 1 tyre before. And of course, these are just solid rubber. It's not like they're inflated with air or anything. So I'm expecting that there will be differences between the two. But yeah, the tyres for me on the Spark, just something about them. Maybe it's just unfamiliarity. I'm not too sure. But they just don't seem to be as accurate. Or don't look as nice, I would say, compared to the ones that I'm looking for. The darker green as well. Can you see the difference in shade there between the front and rear tyre? They're a slightly different shade, and I would say that the lighter green is more accurate to the real life model because they are certainly a lot more visible in the rain. That tyre wouldn't be as visible, would it? So yeah, the tyres I would say I would give a point to Minichamps for. The overall detailing of the car I would give the point to Spark for, because as we mentioned, the rear floor just doesn't quite look as defined on the Minichamps model as it does on the Spark model. And of course we've got the small detail of the aerial, that one just looks a lot better and a lot nicer than that lump of plastic stuck on the front there above the number. In terms of design, the box we've given it to Minichamps, and then in terms of these little signs here, I mean, I've got to give it Spark. Two lovely little signs there made out of nice, just very thin die-cast metal, but still a really nice thing to have. So of course he finished P1 and was world champion that race as well. Yeah, I think for me personally this time around, Spark just edges it. It really does just edge it for me. As I say, it's not going to be like vast differences like we saw with the Barago models when I compared those. I wasn't expecting it to be, but just overall the Spark just comes out that little bit nicer. I think, as daft as it would sound, putting that Spark model in that box, you're onto a right winner there. I think you've really got it. The tyres, of course, would be nice if they were a little bit lighter shading of the intermediate, a lighter green tone. But yeah, I mean, overall, I can't really fault a thing. I can't fault a thing. They are really, really nice models. And is there anything overtly different on the back? No, again, they are fairly accurate, even like that little yellow beading around the rain light at the back, the exhausts, they all look very, very similar. And I don't think I could study these for hours on end, but these are just my initial reactions. I thought that would be the best way to do it. offer my honest opinion on it. So if I saw one of these models out in the shop, would I buy one? Absolutely. And I wouldn't be too fussed which one I picked up. I think I'd say that. But for me, if I had to choose, and I was just a new to collecting and I wasn't religious with Minichamps like I am with my collection, then I would give it Spark this time around. I think Spark just edges it for me. The Spark is the nicer model overall. Just the tyres really that let the Spark side down. And yeah, you can say the casing, I wasn't overly fascinated with it compared to the Minichamps one, but yeah, for me personally, this time around, I think Spark takes the win. So if you are out and about, or you're looking on eBay and you see a bargain, I highly recommend both models. But if I had to choose between the two, just starting out a new collection, I'd have to give it to the Spark one. So thank you so much for watching this episode, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know if you want to see any more videos. Is there anything more I can add to these? Like I say, it's just my own personal opinion, and I'm inspecting the models in detail for the first time to get a comparison, so it's my honest reaction. I'm sure if I look back at these in another couple of weeks, I'll see something else that's a little bit different. But when you're comparing two models that are so closely matched together, both leading brands in the market, it's going to be difficult to find little bits straight away, isn't it? So yeah, let me know your thoughts and feedback down below, guys. Thanks a lot for watching as always, and much love.